Hey guys, welcome back to the Hoser Hockey Show. We got a big show for you guys here. I'm your host, Dave, with my panelists, James and Logan. And to start us off
What's
today,
up?
I would like to talk about your Washington Capitals and the Alex Ovechkin
Oh
chase
yeah.
of Wayne Gretzky's all-time NHL goals record. Now, James, do you think that we all know that Ovi had a great game last time, got two apples, or sorry, not
I'm
two apples, two
pretty sure
goals?
he's had 2 goals in back-to-back games,
He needs five
respectively.
goals
Yeah,
in the last two games.
hot, so hot. But
Yeah, five in the last two.
week to week with a lower body injury. When do you think he's back, and do you think he misses a step?
Ooh, it's a hard one because lower body. The, um, honestly, the fact that usually this isn't the case with aging players. When it's a lower body injury, you think, uh-oh, they're not going to be able to keep up with the play.
Hmm.
I'd be more concerned with Ovechkin if it was like an upper body or like wrist injury or like that, because now he can still shoot the puck. And the fact that now he got into the position for league lead in scoring, and then got injured. I think even if he takes a slight step back after injury, he's still going to be scoring at a pace that can probably break the record this season.
I mean, right now he's been scoring at a pace of 60 goals. It's for a pace of 60 plus goals.
He's on a
Before
pace for
he
60, and he only needs 42 to break the record.
needs
That's
29.
the thing is the goals. Yeah, exactly. He's under 30 now, and the goals that are behind him, we don't even think about that. The pace that he's already
Mhm.
had. Now it's the question is he has let's say let's be optimistic here. Let's be optimistic but realistic. Let's say he misses like 3 weeks, okay?
Yeah, let's say three
So
weeks.
that probably leaves around 50 games left in the season. I think we're
Yep.
Yeah,
around the 20 game mark, so
that's over
probably
over
be
50%. He's scored at
honestly
60%
maybe
rate.
let's say 55 games
I
left
think
he
it's yeah, I
has.
think it's 55 games, something like 55 to 60 even, depending on their schedule.
30 goals in 55 games sounds like a lot, especially if he
Not for
takes a
Ovechkin
little bit of
though.
time coming back, but this
Mm,
is this is Ovechkin and also the Capitals team, yes, Ovi's been good, but they've been incredible around him. They've been playing
Also,
some
it's worth
some
admitting that
really good hockey.
Strome playing as the center has been unreal for setting him up.
Hmm. And
And
McMichael's been huge.
11 out of
This
the
is a
12
player I've liked
forwards
for
have
a
been a
long
great.
time, and he's showing up and like
Yeah.
it's we'll get to this in a bit, but the comparison right now I want to make is just came so naturally. But a player like Connor McMichael is the exact kind of like young up and coming player that needs to hit at the right time on
Exactly.
an older team to kind of extend their window.
That's
And
exactly what he's doing
players
right
like
now.
that hitting at the right time is exactly how you kind of get these dynasties where you have these really good teams that stay really good for a long time. And the contrast between the Washington Capitals and their revival and the downfall of the Pittsburgh Penguins, these
It's
two
all
teams
about
that
the
have been
young
so
players
tightly bounded for so
contributing.
long, Ovechkin versus Crosby, all that stuff. They 2005, 2006, so the draft. Um, no, sorry, 2004. Anyways,
That's definitely
um,
one thing that the Washington Capitals have done way better than the Pittsburgh Penguins is maintaining a prospect system. I think part of that
well,
also has to do with the Hershey Bears just being a really well-established farm team and development system. But that probably like I think it also just like Pittsburgh has traded away way more picks, way more prospects to extend the window, whereas Washington has set themselves up to have these young players come through.
and I think that Pittsburgh fans would have been okay with it. Obviously, they have the titles, they have their memories, they have all that stuff, and it's great. But did any of Dubas's window extending actually work at all? And when
I
you look at
don't
it now, and you look at the Capitals' strategy of just when they're bad, they kind of hang on to their pick. They get guys, and they have these guys that are going to grow and come in. They're not just tossing
exactly.
assets. Like the Washington Capitals are legitimately a good team right now, and it for the future they also look like they have a serious future too because they have these guys like you were saying
Hmm.
Strome. That's not a young guy, but he's young enough and he's hitting at the right time where yeah he's in his later 20s, but he still has a lot to give and he has a high
Hmm.
draft pedigree. And some players it does take a little longer. I know a lot of people were disappointed in Strome because relative to his draft position, he never really hit, I guess, early enough. But if he's hitting now, that's great for the Washington Capitals. And then you
I
have
mean,
again a player like Pierre-Luc Dubois garnered a lot of ire over the years, but all he has to do on that team is just play his role, do well and grow with the team. And you have a recipe here for sustained success, especially with the legacy that Ovi has in that room and the respect the players have for him and the fact that he's kind of established that kind of winning culture there.
Hmm.
Crosby's done a great job doing the same thing in Pittsburgh, but the problem is they just don't have those Connor McMichaels, those Dylan Stromes. They have a
No, they
Wrecker
don't.
McGroarty, but that's just he's just not on that level yet,
Also,
or
that's
he
one
might
guy
not even
as
get
well. Like
there.
they don't really, he's
Exactly.
the only, as far as I can think of, I genuinely can't think of another like projected to be elite prospect on in their system. Whereas there's a few in Washington, like Michael's a young guy who's hitting. I'm pretty sure Alexei Protas is still pretty
Protus has
young.
been unbelievable.
I'm gonna
He's been
butcher the name.
unreal.
Is it Miroshnichenko?
I think so, yeah. I'm not
I
going to
think
correct you
so. I
and talk
don't.
over
I
that,
think I got it a bit
but
wrong.
that
He's
sounds
supposed to be
right.
really good. I know there's I don't know the names, but there's someone else they drafted in the last couple drafts as well, who's supposed to be pretty good. Faravari is still a relatively young defenseman. Same with Chikrin.
Hmm.
The one thing I'd
Yeah,
say
so
that um Washington's done well when it comes to trading history is that they bought good players who've been sucking low. Like they bought
that's
Yeah,
true, and then that is something we
Chikrin,
have to
like
admit
Pierre-Luc
is
Dubois, who
Pierre-Luc
still
Dubois,
sucks.
but over
and
the past, let's say 5 years, like Logan, to add to your point, like
Well,
yeah,
actually, a
the
good
Penguins
example
haven't had
recently.
as higher of picks as the Capitals. That
oh
is
yeah,
true, but there is something to be said about at least sticking to that plan
Yeah,
yeah.
of, you know what, we're not just going to try and fire all these first rounders away or trade an exciting prospect like McMichael for a player that can help us win now with Ovi. They've really stuck to the process, and it's really starting to pay
yeah.
dividends.
I
Yeah,
think they've cycled
and
players out. I think some to look at is they won the cup with Vrana.
Hmm.
Burakovsky, I believe, was a expansion draft. He left in free agency. His same with Chandler Stevenson. So that's a bit moot. Sorry,
one
Jacob Vrana won the cup with him, traded him away, and I think they were selling high on him, and he then dropped a bunch. They picked up. He's on my team.
they
Uh,
took a Strome,
no, it was the trade. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this? He just went on IR. Anthony Mantha.
right,
He
Mantha.
was really good for
Right.
them a couple seasons. As soon as he was started to show some decline, they traded him. And I think they did a good job. And now this year, they traded for Andrew Mangiapane, who's had a couple bad seasons in a row, and he's been slow to start this year. But I think that was just such a safe pickup where
Well, the one thing,
he's going to get better and get like he's not going to be the 35 goal scorer, but he's going to be better than what like 10, 15 that he was at last year.
well, one thing that they've done
And they
well
didn't
is that
lose
they
any
have.
asset. They don't trade like a second for him, maybe even a
I
third.
thought it was just waiver wire, just a pick, like not waiver
Mangiapane
wire.
was a trade.
Was he traded not free
Yeah.
agency?
Off-season trade.
Still, as a going free agency, that they just have faith in their players. Like some of the guys they acquire off free agency, they don't trade them the moment they've sucked. And like Dylan Strome got picked up in
No.
2022, and he's done okay when he got picked up,
Yeah.
but like it's
They've
only really
definitely
the last
understood
2 years
when to move off players and when to
free agency.
pick when to like stay with players until they get better. Whereas Pittsburgh uh just has stayed with players and hasn't moved off anyone.
Yeah,
And it's like showing in their success.
And you know, smart move by the Pittsburgh Penguins management ownership group to bring in a guy who notably is cutthroat, doesn't care about his players, and will make the hard decisions in order
Hmm.
to get rid of guys that he really cares about, specifically core guys. You know, Kyle Dubas is a guy that has no problem, you know, making that difficult decision to let go of a player that he likes. You
Oh,
know,
Dave, I
Kyle
have some
Dubas is
bad news
probably
for
the most
you.
notorious. Huh?
I have some bad news. I forgot to turn the laughing track on. Um,
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was being
so the
serious. No, I'm
yeah.
kidding. No, I think that it might be time to. There's been a like these new hires and stuff, you can't exactly. It takes a couple of years to really see, whether these moves are going to hit or not and stuff. But in retrospect, the Eric Carlson trade might
Ooh.
have been the worst possible thing for the
I
Penguins, not
mean,
only at the
Well,
time, but in retrospect.
yeah, well, there's
What
just no way that
that was a
that
bad
could
trade.
have worked
even at
for
the
them.
time, it was like, okay, well, of course, it's not a great trade, but you got a window here. Anytime you have Sidney Crosby and Gino and Letang and these guys, you have a window, you have an opportunity to
Hmm.
win. But
And EK was coming off a hot season in San Jose. He was
He
looking
came off
good.
the 100-point season.
Yeah. It's
how much better would the Penguins look right now, though, if instead of Carlson, and making that trade,
Let's say they still just had John Marino as in their second pair, who's a really
it
solid,
yeah,
probably
steady
would have been the
defenseman.
same. I don't think they would have looked much better, but
did
they
they
put up
send over picks in
I
that
don't
trade?
think they would have looked better than they were before,
they
but I
sent
don't
up a
think.
Granlund, which sucked,
But
which was hurting them.
they
Granlund,
traded
yes.
Granlund.
Oh,
Granlund
wait,
though was having a really bad time in Pittsburgh. He wouldn't. I don't think Granlund would have picked it up again like he has in San Jose.
yeah,
Like San Jose, he's getting the factor of he's getting top 6 minutes and is like who's going to score in San Jose? I guess Granlund.
Hmm.
right.
For
Whereas in
sure.
Pittsburgh, he'd be third line rule the whole time and wouldn't be put in positions to get as nearly as much offense.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily saying that if they reversed the trade and had the pieces they gave up, they'd be better, but
I just don't think they'd be as
obviously they
bad
should
as
have
they are
made a move.
now,
I just don't
potentially.
think that that was the right move to make. They kind of went on getting like a guy, and maybe
Not
their thinking should have been we need to get some guys who can grow with the team and kind of insulate and give us some depth. Because right now, what do the Pittsburgh Penguins have coming up in their system? Like who they have, like they lost years ago they had Gensel, like their winger depth was crazy, and then now
Yeah.
it's gone, and it's kind of like yeah, you have like Crosby and Gino, and they're amazing, they're elite players, and obviously they're getting up there in age, and that wasn't necessarily a problem when you insulated them with guys who are also extremely good players, but now they're kind of have to carry the load for some players that just aren't that
Hmm.
level, and it's really showing in their play on the ice, and I'm starting to wonder about at what point do they flip the switch and just like there's been lots of talk. They've
I think
mentioned
there's
it,
going to
they've
be
said
talk
it,
here.
but
I think a
as
lot of it
far
is
as
the
I'm concerned,
ownership
until
has been
something
really
happens,
stubborn
it's
about
all
this.
talk for sure.
And I think the ownership's the one that has been the most stubborn about just wanting to hold on to this. And I just think about the like we've been taught the reason we're talking about the defense is because that's the most notable thing.
Hmm.
Penguins, for the most part, have actually been able to score this season, but they just have their defense has been in shambles. Their goaltending has been Swiss cheese. And that's why you look at the Carlson trade. And if they hadn't made it, I don't think they would be like a team that could be in contention for a wild card spot. I just think that they would have still been on decline, but I don't think they would have fallen off the cliff they have this season here,
it wouldn't be
where
the
it's just
same sort of
they can't defend at all. And their goaltenders, like Jari hasn't been good anyways.